Hello, YouTubers and NFL fans everywhere. This is Matt, the NFL Fanatic, giving you my 2021-2022 NFL Divisional Round Playoff Weekend predictions. Well, for the Fanatic, for the first weekend of the postseason, I would say I did a good job. Didn't go below 500 in my against the spread and straight up picks. Though my against the spread picks of how everything went, I do kind of regret some of the decisions I made with picking some of the underdogs. If one thing was clear after last weekend, the favorited teams won for the most part besides the Niners Cowboys, and I blame Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott, and Kellen Moore for their horrific clock management. The reason why they lost that game. But the favorites won in the other 5 games, and they won handily, or well, besides Raiders Bengals, but they were able to cover 6.5 point spread. The other 3 teams won handily, and it wasn't even close. So that was the only regrettable thing I regret from this past week of my playoff predictions, were the horrible against the spread picking the underdogs. But with that being said, against the spread I did go 3-3, which is 500, and straight up I went 5-1 overall. That equals up to 50% and 83.3% respectively. And now overall for the year against the spread, I am 129, 143, and 6. Against the spread, and straight up now I am 180, 97, and 1. That equals up to 47.5 and 64.9% respectively. So definitely with 7 games left, I definitely think I can hit that 65% straight up margin for the regular season. And against the spread, I'm not going to hit 50%. But hey, if I can get to 48.2, I'll live with that. But what a crazy wildcard weekend it was. I want to congratulate the Bengals beating the Las Vegas Raiders 26-19. And getting their first playoff win since the 1990 season over the Houston Oilers. Joe Burrow had 246 yards and 2 touchdowns, had a clean game. Jamar Chase got 116 yards on 6 to 7 receptions. I thought the Bengals defense did a fantastic job limiting Derek Carr for the most part. There were some awful blunders with penalties from the Raiders. There was the Peyton Barber kick botch where Evan McPherson kicked the ball out of bounds. And it was going to be out of bounds. They were going to get the ball at the 40, but Peyton Barber touched it at the 2, so it lies at the 2-yard line. And it was just a really weird and awkward game that the Raiders were able to make some plays. I did not like the field goal decision at the about 3:40 left. I would have gone for it, but they were able to get the ball back and were 9 yards away. So Derek Carr threw that game-stealing interception. And the Raiders, they have fired Mike Mayock. Rich Bisaccia is now in jeopardy, and Derek Carr's future is now up in the air. So the Raiders are going completely rebuild here. And the Bengals, look, I would say this. I was incredibly surprised about how well the Bengals did this past season. I don't think anybody had them winning the AFC North. I didn't think Joe Burrow would play the squad. I guess the biggest thing I thought of was Jamar Chase being that great. But the Bengals are a legitimate team, and they have a decent chance of playing with the Titans well enough that if I were Titans fans, shout out to Keith Bailey and all of the Titans fans, Sports Fan Entertainment, MJ, they are going to have a very interesting game against the Titans to where I wouldn't be that surprised if the Bengals are able to pull it off. But that's just my thoughts there. Patriots-Bills. The Bills were the first team in NFL history to score on 7 consecutive possessions, 7 touchdowns, no punts, no turnovers. It was a beautiful game by Josh Allen and the Bills. 5 TDs, no interceptions. Dawson Knox with the playoff catch of the season. And the Patriots, look, I would say this. They got ramrodded defensively by the Bills' offense. Offensively, I thought that the Pats played okay. And I thought Mac Jones played okay. I know he had 2 interceptions in the beginning of the game and basically put up a bunch of garbage time numbers. But he wasn't the main reason why the Pats lost that game against the Bills. And I would say to everybody out there, for every Patriots fan out there, shout out to Andrew Warren and all the other Pats fans, it's the end of the Patriots run. Okay, and I would say this. I think the Patriots are still going to be the second best team in that division for years to come. But I think the ceiling for the Patriots, instead of going to the Super Bowl, is getting to the conference championship game. I think Mac Jones, with talent and time and improvement, can get to the NFC championship game. Or, I'm sorry, the AFC championship game. But that's it. For as long as Mac Jones is the quarterback, I do not see Mac Jones ever winning a conference championship or getting to the Super Bowl. And I think after watching how Josh Allen, knowing how young Josh Allen is, knowing how long-term committed the Bills are, That is the Bills' division to win consistently and permanently, or predominantly, maybe not predominantly, moving forward. Shout out to the wise guys and Steve Sabo and all those guys. But that was just an absolute thrashing. And I was impressed with the Bills have finally started able to run the ball with Devin Singletary a bit more over the last few weeks. They're gaining that balance, which is going to be huge in a game against Kansas City coming up on Sunday. There was that game. Let me see. Bucs-Eagles. That was just Tom Brady being Tom Brady. The Bucs playing a complete game. Giovanni Bernard had about 70 yards of scrimmage at a touchdown. Brady threw for 2 more scores. Gronk caught another postseason touchdown. The Bucs defense pretty much stifling the entire Eagles offense. They didn't even throw to Devontae Smith at all during the first half. Jalen Reagor with a horrible muff punt. They really couldn't run the ball. And the Bucs, look, I think the biggest story for the Bucs though is losing or the injuries to right tackle Tristan Wirfs and center Ryan Jensen. I think Ryan Jensen should be able to go. Tristan Wirfs, they have said that basically it will come down to game time for him to see if he can play. But I thought the Bucs handled their business. I thought maybe with the Eagles they had some nice couple plays, but it was also a lot of broken chunk plays and garbage time because they were up 31-0 to begin the game. Also, kudos to Mike Evans for passing Mike Allstott's all-time franchise touchdown record at 78. But the Bucs just handled their business. Niners-Cowboys, really good old-school game. Deebo Samuel, the wide back as he called himself, maybe the best non-quarterback in the National Football League. It kind of hurts me for a little bit because I actually thought, going into the season, I thought I'm wearing a Seahawks shirt right here. But I thought Tyler Lockett was better than Deebo Samuel entering the year. And then obviously as I've watched Deebo Samuel play and this Niners team play, he is definitely better than Tyler Lockett. As much as that pains me to say, Deebo is a much more impactful and dominant weapon. He had 73 rushing yards, 39 receiving yards. They ran, I thought the one thing I really appreciated what the Niners did was they took field goals. That was all, Brandon Staley, hello. Like, that's all you have to do sometimes. Like, people, the advanced analytics community was all frustrated with Kyle Shanahan taking the field goal there to try to, go up 6 instead of trying to be up 10 or 13-0 instead of 17-0. And it's like, look, you take the points when you can, when you have the lead. It's not all about being aggressive and trying to end nails. And if you think about it, at the end of the day, it was that field goal, and one of those field goals, that helped the Niners hold on to the win. Because let's say they go for it on 4th down at about the 4 and they don't get it. That takes 3 points off the board for the Niners, and it puts the Cowboys in a spot to where they could tie the game, and it wouldn't have mattered, arguably. Or they could have played a lot differently having to try to get in the field goal range compared to trying to get in the end zone. But also, Dak did not play that well. He had 2 big turnovers, got sacked 5 times. Nick Bosa was a havoc the whole game. Zeke only ran for about 20 yards. And this Cowboys team is very flawed. It has a lot of talent, but it doesn't have a lot of leadership and consistency and a lot of undiscipline. It tied the franchise record with 14 accepted penalties. You are never going to win a playoff game if you are penalized that much. And I would say this. I understand a lot of people wanting to fire Mike McCarthy over the past 48 hours. I am one of the people that say, at the end of the day, in totality, I understand the reality, and contextual-wise, you could fire Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy does not deserve to be fired for his previous year. When you double your wins and cut your losses in half and win the division and get a playoff game to where the year before you were 6-10, you do not fire people for progress. You do not fire people when they move forward. You fire people when they regress or are stagnant. That's how I've always looked at NFL coaching jobs and NFL coaching jobs. You never fire progress because it doesn't make any sense. A great example, back in 2012 when the Bears went 8-8. The next year, Lovie Smith went 10-6 and the Bears decided to fire him. It wasn't until Matt Nagy came in, got a 12-win season, that they didn't have another 10-plus win season for 6 years. And they should have kept Lovie for the 2013 campaign. But that's the same thing I have with Mike McCarthy. Like, there is no reason to fire Mike McCarthy at this point. He had a decent year. His clock management and his personality, you can have questions about. I do. But that should not apply to his results and what he was able to do. Okay, if he fails next year, if he doesn't make the playoffs or goes one and done again, then you can say, okay, Mike, you kind of hit that stagnant point. We need to move on. But for this year, he improved. Steelers Chiefs. That was another diatribe about Mike McCarthy. Steelers Chiefs. That was just an absolute rout. I know it was shocking to see the Steelers up 7-0 in the first place, but after that, the Chiefs just went on their dominant run. Mahomes threw another 5-touchdown game. He's been absolutely perfect. I think he's had 20 TDs and 1 interception in all the games he's played at Kansas City. He's never had a road game in the playoffs, so basically he's hoping for the Titans to lose to the Bengals. So that means that he can keep his home consecutive playoff game streak alive. And I would like to know, if anybody knows out there, what is the NFL record for most consecutive home games to start a career in the playoffs for a quarterback? I'd like to know that. I don't know if Mahomes can achieve that, but if he can go 3 straight years without having to leave Kansas City, that'd be really impressive. And Pittsburgh, look, Ben did not play well at all, but nobody really expected Ben to play well. It was time for Ben to go. It was an honor of his career. He said all the right things. It's going to be a very cultural shift for Pittsburgh as the second best quarterback in their franchise history leaves all time. I think Kenny Pickett's in the market. Derek Carr's in the market. Teddy Bridgewater's in the market. Aaron Rodgers is in the market. So, the Steelers have a lot of options at quarterback they can try to choose. I do not think Mason Rudolph is the first and only answer. I think that the Steelers need to really look across the league at draft picks, at the young quarterbacks, the old quarterbacks, the veteran quarterbacks, and say, which quarterback moving forward can help us at least be a bridge or a gap until the next big quarterback comes that we can try to get. And then finally, Rams-Cardinals, as I'm going through this wild card review segment of the video. The Rams were fantastic. Stafford only was 15-17, 100. First playoff win in his career. Absolutely, fantastic game from all sides. Kudos to Von Miller for getting another playoff sack. They had 2 interceptions. Darren Long has the shortest pick six in NFL history for a postseason pick six with 3 yards. And I thought, the Rams played a sensational game where the Cardinals, they are basically the West Coast version of the Dallas Cowboys. Very same dynamic, except Jerry's not involved in this, unlike Steve Keim and Michael Bidwell. But this Cardinals team has a lot of talent, a lot of flaws. And I think the biggest person that should be blamed, it's not Cliff Kingsbury. Just like Mike McCarthy. The Cardinals over the last 3 seasons under Cliff Kingsbury. 5 wins, 8 wins, 11 wins. He's progressed the team. They've floundered the last 2 years. Okay? So that's fair. And even at Texas Tech, he floundered that way through. But he deserves a 4th year. Just like Kyler Murray does. But I'm just going to tell you this right now. Kyler Murray is on the verge of, I'm not picking up his 5th year option. I'm letting Kyler Murray play this 4th year out. And if he, or I don't know if they've already, exercised the 5th year option in the first place. But if he can't get the job done, I wouldn't bring Kyler back. I let Kyler Murray test free agency. And I say, oh, that's crazy. He was the MVP through the first, 8 weeks of the year. He's a dynamic quarterback. Yeah, but he's basically Black Baker Mayfield. He's Black Baker Mayfield, everybody. If you look at the numbers, and there was a video segment done. He's essentially Black Baker Mayfield. Both number 1 overall picks. Both went to Oklahoma. Both won Heisman trophies. Due to Lincoln Riley. And I just, nobody's thought about Baker through this whole time in Cleveland going like, oh, yeah, the Browns need to give Baker a $30+ million extension. No, they're perfectly content giving the 5th year option. My argument would be is that you don't even deserve that option. You deserve to play on this final year of your rookie contract. Let's see how far you can get. I know DeAndre Hopkins, who when he was there, they went 8-2. He was out. So that was a big, reason why the Cardinals struggled. But it's just something to where, like, if you're that good or you're that great as number 1 overall pick and you have that much faith, you need to play better than you did. They had it in an NFL record 7 first possessions that did not end up scoring any points. It ended up just causing the rout there. I'll sport into my pick. Shout out to Buda Baker. Best of luck to him. He suffered a concussion after a stiff arm from Cam Akers, the Rams running back. Fortunately, from what I've heard, he was in stable condition. He could move all extremities, and he was responsive. So hopefully in the next couple of days, he can get better, get back to Arizona, and start his offseason planning accordingly. Excuse me. All right, so those are my thoughts on wildcard weekend. Let me give you my divisional round predictions, everybody. So this Saturday at 4:30 on CBS/Paramount Plus, when the number 4 seeded Cincinnati Bengals travel to Tennessee to take on the number 1 seeded Tennessee Titans, The Tennessee Titans are 3.5-point favorites in this game. Give me the Tennessee Titans here minus 3.5, and Tennessee Titans straight up. Then the next game, when the number 6 seeded San Francisco 49ers travel to Green Bay to take on the number 1 seeded Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers are 6-point favorites in this game. Give me the Green Bay Packers here minus 6, and the Green Bay Packers straight up. And then on Sunday, when the number 4 seeded Los Angeles Rams travel to Tampa Bay to take on the number 2 seeded Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 3-point favorites in this game in my only upset of the week. Okay? And this is hard for me because everybody knows that's watched my videos. In the beginning of the season, I had the Chiefs facing the Buccaneers in Los Angeles. And and I kept that prediction going. But as the year's gone on, it's hasn't been looking great for the Bucs in terms of losing receivers due to injury, losing the offensive linemen, losing running backs, a lack of secondary depth, the history between the Rams and the Bucs. So to go for my objectivity and to go for being right over long-term predictions, I'm taking the Los Angeles Rams here in an upset to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. The LA Rams are 3-point underdogs in this game, with me taking the LA Rams out straight up outright. I'm going to take the Los Angeles Rams here +3 in the Los Angeles Rams straight up. And finally, in the last Sunday night game at GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium, when the Buffalo Bills travel to Kansas City to take on the Kansas City Chiefs, a rematch from Week 5, in which the Bills, I believe, won 34-10 or 34-20. They won by at least 2 scores. The Kansas City Chiefs are 2.5-point favorites in this game. Give me the Kansas City Chiefs here, minus 2.5, and the Kansas City Chiefs, straight up. All right, it's time for my quick thoughts on each game. The Tennessee Titans over the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a game where it's very interesting looking at, these two teams. The Bengals are a young, spry group of talented receivers, have great receiver depth. Joe Mixon's the second best rusher in the league, a decent offensive line that overperformed, and a Bengals defense that has a lot of good talent from the Steelers, from Mike Hilton, Trey Hendrickson, Larry Ogunjobi. They have Mike Daniels, they have Von Bell, they have Trey Waynes. They have a very talented defense with a lot of mix and match guys from decent teams that have come together to play really well. Jesse Bates. But I just think that the key thing to me was there were two... Excuse me, I've had this cough for the last little bit. There were 2 significant injuries that happened in the Bengals game that I think are going to be significant, or going to be key. Trey Hendrickson, their leading sack rusher, who's had the 3rd most sacks over the last 2 seasons, and Larry Ogunjobi, former Brown, who's going to be out for the year due to a foot injury. I don't know if they're going to play, and King Derrick Henry is coming back from injury. All those weeks ago when he played the Colts, he had that broken toe injury. Everybody thought he was going to be out for the season. Well, fortunately for the Titans, they were able to play well enough to go 6-3 without him in their final 9 games. And here they are, bringing Derrick Henry back after 2 good weeks in practice. And he's coming back for this game. The Titans, look, they have a lot of unique team, aspects. Derrick, AJ, and Julio. You have Anthony Ferkser, a tight end who's not bad. You have Nick Westbrook-Akini. You have an okay offensive line. And a veteran Ryan Tannehill that has been in these games before with the Titans and has the history over Joe Burrow in this moment. And also, just play again, Ryan Tannehill with his legs is going to make 1 or 2 extra plays that Joe Burrow can't with his feet. I know Burrow, in the Bengals, they may have a brighter upside. They may have better pure talent at certain skill positions. But at the end of the day, the Titans, understanding who they are, understanding how, to limit Joe Mixon and to make Joe Burrow throw to win the game. I know he can do it. I think it's going to be a very hard task for a Titans team that's rested. Having Derrick Henry back, I think will control the clock and run the ball consistently and hard throughout the game to show that he is still, one of the best rushers in the league. Heck, he was a top 10 rusher with him even missing 9 games in the regular season to end the year. And I just feel like, again, the Titans are at home. This Titans team at home has played some really, good games. Last time they were home, they blew out the Miami Dolphins by a significant margin. I do not think that's going to happen this time, but I think with Tannehill's experience, Derrick Henry's running, and the rest of the Titans defense has against the Bengals team that has talent and has potential, but is coming off a short week, I'm going to take the Titans to win this game against the spread and purely outright. So that's why the Tennessee Titans here, minus 3.5, and Tennessee Titans straight up. The next game, the Green Bay Packers over the San Francisco 49ers. This is one to where the Niners, fun fact, have won the last 3 NFC playoff games against the Packers. Actually, Aaron Rodgers, in his whole playoff career, has never beaten the 49ers. And I know what everybody can say. Look, they have no pressure. Kyle knows how to play against the Packers. He has a running style that should be able to go up against the Packers' rush defense, which just a few weeks ago against the Browns gave up about 200 or plus yards on the ground. But the key thing was for this game, 2 big injuries to Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. I think Fred Warner should go. Also, Jimmy Garoppolo is dealing with a sprained shoulder, which isn't great. But I just look at this Packers-Niners game and go, the Packers are getting Jair Alexander back. They could get Zadarius Smith back. They've been rested. They have Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. They can run the ball just as well as the Niners can, if not, equal some decent amount of production between those 4 running backs that the Niners have. And the Niners and Packers have. Because they can say, well, we have Elijah Mitchell and Deebo. We have Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. Those 4 guys can't do each other out. I think Aaron plays one of the best games of his career, understanding the magnitude of where, if the Bucs lose to the Rams, it's Rams and Packers in the NFC Championship game. It'd be a massive opportunity for Aaron Rodgers to get to his second Super Bowl playing a team that he's had a very good history and a very good number with against the quarterback in Matthew Stafford. I also just think one of the other key things, it's supposed to be 16 degrees around the kickoff in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I think that's going to be a very tough environment to get used to for the 49ers, who have been down on the West Coast and sunny weather for most of the year. So I think this game should be great. I think the Niners have the history edge and they have the physicality edge. And the Packers get behind. I just don't know if that 1-week layoff was good. And the 49ers will be moving on to the NFC Championship game, if that happens. Should be a fantastic game, and I'm taking the Packers. Better quarterback, less injured, and I just trust the Packers' weapons to move the ball much better on the Niners' defense compared to what the Cowboys did. So that's why I like Green Bay here -6 and Green Bay straight up. The next game, the Los Angeles Rams over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is one to where I'm taking the LA Rams here based on the fact of talent and injury in history. The Bucs not having Tristan Wirfs and possibly Ryan Jensen is going to be significant. And I just look at the Rams defense going, what they did against the Cardinals offensive line was fantastic. I think they have that same amount of pressure, if not better, against the Tampa Bay offensive line. I think the Rams have the better running backs. The Rams have better receiver depth. The Rams have a history of winning against the Bucs. Jared Goff and Stafford over the last 2 years have played Tampa and at home and have won both games pretty easily. I think the Rams, they understand the pressure of what's going against the Bucs, and I just think if AB and Godwin and Sherman and everybody was healthy, I probably would have taken the Bucs to win this game. But when it's just Tom Brady against a whole herd of Rams, I think the herd of Rams will win this game in a pretty decent way. I would say at least by 7 to 10 points. That's how much confidence I have in the Rams beating this Bucs team. If this Bucs team was fully healthy, I probably would have taken Tampa. But with all the injuries, all the inconsistencies, the awkwardness of wide receiver, Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette are both hurt, I just don't think the Bucs can win this game. And I say, oh, you're betraying your Super Bowl pick. You should have made the adjustment. I know, but, at the end of the day, I didn't expect for AB to do what he did and Chris Godwin to be out and Cyril Grayson and Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones. I didn't expect all those guys to be out going into this game, or at least questionable. And I just think, again, the Rams have the experience, they have the edge, they have the coaching, motivation, and I just don't think the Bucs can overcome this Rams team with as much limited talent as they love to get to a second consecutive NFC Championship game and his 11th overall, which is still amazing to think about. I'm not going to be surprised if Brady wins, but I just can't do it with how the Rams roster is shaped up, the Rams' talent, and what the Bucs are lacking. It's just a huge advantage Los Angeles for this game. So that's like the Los Angeles Rams here +3 and the Los Angeles Rams straight up. And finally, the Chiefs over the Bills. I'm going with the better quarterback. I think Patrick Mahomes will outplay Josh Allen. I know Josh Allen has been on a tear. He's been sensational. But at the end of the day, I'm going to take Mahomes to beat Allen in this type of great shootout game. Both teams have won the last 2 home meetings. The Bills won in Week 5, like I said earlier. I think the Bills are playing better. They're more motivated, and they seem more sound and prepared for whatever challenge comes their way out of the 3 remaining AFC teams. But at the end of the day, this is Andy Reid. This is Patrick Mahomes. This is this is Kansas City. This is Kansas City, and I feel like they just have the psychological advantage. They have the defense playing at a higher level, and I think they get one more stop or one more turnover on Josh Allen than the Bills will get on Patrick Mahomes. I know the Bills' defense has been number one overall all year, basically in all categories. I think the Chiefs, coming off the frustration from playing Buffalo a while ago, I think they'll take it out in this game and win at least by a field goal. I would even say by the end of the field goal, Harrison Butker wins the game for the Chiefs to give them a huge advantage, huge opportunity in the AFC Championship game coming up next week. So that's why Kansas City minus 2.5 and Kansas City straight up. So those are my picks and comments for this week. Like, comment, rate, subscribe. Please check out the NFL YouTube Prognosticators page to see people such as Andrew Warren, Keith Bailey, like I've said earlier, Half Moon's Picks, Bridgewater's Finest, all those guys and gals, Big Sports Talking, all those guys and gals that make prediction videos just like I do every single week. And until next week when I give my Conference Championship Weekend predictions, this is Matthew and Fanatic signing off. Until next time, so long.